When we hear about Iran in the news today, it's almost always about modern politics, right? But that's just the very last chapter in a story that's literally thousands of years old. So let's go beyond the headlines together and uncover a history of empires, ideas, and influence that didn't just shape a region, but really the entire world. So just take a second. What's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, I'm guessing our view is shaped by stuff we've seen in the news over the last few decades, but the land we call Iran has a history that stretches back for millennia. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The news cycle gives us this very, very narrow window. So today, we're going to set all that aside and look at the bigger picture, the deep historical currents that are flowing just beneath the surface. We're about to dive deep into the foundations of this ancient civilization. And it's a story that shows how this region became this incredible powerhouse of both political strength and totally groundbreaking ideas, way, way before its current identity was ever formed. All right, first up, let's talk about power and time. Because ancient Iran wasn't just home to one empire, but a whole series of them. And what is truly amazing is their incredible staying power. So here's a quick look at the major players. We kick things off with the famous Achaemenid Persians. Then you get this brief but super dramatic Greek period after Alexander the Great shows up. But then Iranian rule comes roaring back with two absolute powerhouses, the Parthians and the Sassanians, before the arrival of Islam changes everything. And this right here is the key, the sheer durability of these empires. I mean, in a world where a dynasty could rise and fall in a single lifetime, these Iranian states built something that was made to last. Okay, just look at the Parthians. They ruled for roughly 500 years. Let that sink in for a second. 500 years. For one dynasty to hold on to a region that huge and that complex for that long, it's just incredible. And get this. The Sassanians, who came after them, pulled off a similar feat, holding on for another 400 years. So this wasn't just a fluke, it was a pattern of unbelievable resilience. This was a culture that knew how to build and sustain power for the long haul. So that leads to the obvious question. How did they do it? What was their secret sauce? Well, the answer isn't just about having big armies. It's about something much more fundamental. It's about geography. So yeah, what was their secret? How did they manage to stick around for centuries while so many others just crumbled? Well, the biggest clue is sitting right there on the map. And here it is, the core of their power. Ancient Iran was smack dab in the center of the ancient world. They weren't on the edge of the map, they were the center of the map. They were the essential bridge connecting Europe with India and China. Being in the middle gave them these incredible advantages. They controlled the flow of goods, getting crazy wealthy from what's called relay trade on routes like the Silk Road. But it was way more than just money. They became a melting pot for ideas, and they were forced to get really good at communication, fluent in the cultures of both East and West. That skill, that was their real superpower. But goods and gold weren't the only things traveling through ancient Iran. The region was also the birthplace of a powerful religion, one whose ideas would spread across the globe and echo in faiths that many of us still practice today. And that religion is Zoroastrianism. It was founded more than 2,500 years ago, and it became the official faith of Iran's greatest ancient empires. So before the region became Islamic, this was the dominant spiritual force, shaping its culture for more than 1,000 years. So at the heart of Zoroastrianism is this really epic idea that the entire universe is the stage for a grand battle between a god of goodness and light and an opposing spirit of darkness and evil. This whole concept of a cosmic good versus evil showdown was absolutely revolutionary for its time. And this is where its influence just becomes staggering. Think about some core concepts like a final day of judgment, angels and demons, even the idea of heaven and hell. Sound familiar? Well, these ideas have deep, deep roots in Zoroastrian thought. They traveled along the very same trade routes as silk and spices, and basically became part of the spiritual DNA of the world. Okay, so we've seen Iran's influence through its huge empires and its world-changing ideas. But for the final piece of the puzzle, I want to show you some actual, tangible proof of its incredible reach. And it's in a place you would probably never, ever expect. I mean, we know it reached the Roman Empire to the west and India to the east. But
Could it have gone even further than that? Just how global was this ancient network, really?
The answer is kind of mind-blowing. The culture of Sasanian Persia traveled the entire length of the Silk Road and made its way to Japan. We're talking over 1,300 years ago.
And this isn't just a theory. The artifacts are still there today. In a Buddhist temple in Japan, you can go and see a Sasanian silk textile that shows a Persian royal hunt. In an imperial treasury, there's a stunning cut-glass picture from the exact same period. These are not copies. They are the original items that made that unbelievable journey.
And that just says it all, doesn't it? Ancient Iran wasn't some isolated kingdom off on its own. It was the beating heart of a vibrant, interconnected world, pumping goods, culture, and revolutionary ideas from one end of the known world to the other.
So really, what this all shows is that the stories we see in the headlines are just the surface. This little journey into ancient Iran shows a civilization that was absolutely foundational to the world we live in. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this much rich history is hiding behind just one country's modern narrative, how many other stories are out there just waiting for us to look a little bit deeper?